just super eye-opening. I was just surrounded by professional athletes all day.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever felt that kind of motivation. So, and I was not a very motivated teenager. I'll give you that. So, honestly, pinpoint a lot of my confidence towards the guys at Adrenaline, honestly.
Yeah.
And they got me right at the right time. I think just showing up every day and showing up with a good attitude, asking questions. I think I was always I never thought of myself as a good student because I didn't do very well in school. I hated school. But really, at the end of the day, I only didn't do well in the classes that I didn't enjoy.
For the people that are listening, why don't you start by going into a bit of your background?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Brendan Sutton, and I have been playing music all my life, and just recently in the past couple of years kind of made it a way to make money for myself properly, at least. And that's what I do as kind of my nighttime gig. In the day, I'm a personal trainer. I specialize in mixed martial arts and kickboxing. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of a semi-retired amateur MMA fighter and kickboxer, and now kind of focusing on other people and teaching them. I train out of Adrenaline MMA, and I'm just trying to balance everything out right now. Just trying to keep everything balanced.
So when did music start?
Music started from basically right out of the womb, I think. My parents always joke that I was singing myself to sleep when I was a kid and stuff. So, and my dad was kind of a campfire musician, playing around the house as much as he could, and I just picked up stuff from what he was doing. I was never formally trained. I don't think it would have really worked for me. I think I would have kind of ended up. I didn't really I still don't like really being told what to do. So I just any formal lesson didn't really go very well. I just tried to keep up with my dad growing up, and then started writing my own music, and it just kind of went from there. I went to music industry arts at Fanshawe a couple years back and did the 2-year program there and learned a lot. And then I decided, okay, I actually this is how I want to make my money. So is by performing. So.
And then the fighting, when did that start?
That started in high school.
Yeah.
I just was brought to the gym by one of my friends in high school, and we did a couple classes together, and I was kind of half in the bag of it. I wasn't fully committed, but I hated school, and I saw they had a high school co-op kid.
Yeah.
And we're just working the front desk, cleaning the mats and stuff. So
where was this?
At Adrenaline. At Adrenaline.
Yeah. Was it the new building, or were they at the old spot?
They were across from Labatt's.
Yeah.
So back then, the Maddox College building. And I asked Mark Hominick the one day. I barely knew him. I was intimidated still to talk to him at that point.
Yeah.
Still am a little bit, but
shout out to Mark Hominick, past guest of Prime People,
yes.
Legend in the UFC,
yes.
and just one of the best strikers on the planet for sure.
Yes, and back then, we weren't as close as we are today. It was a little bit. He's a little bit of an intimidating figure.
For sure.
And I talked to him about it, and he said, "Yeah, next year if you want to do a co-op, be my guest." And I ended up doing a 4-credit co-op. So I spent a whole semester at the gym, and that's when I really kind of became invested in the sport, and I realized how much of a knack I had for it. I started training with Sam Stout, also big shout out to Sam. He became kind of like a mentor to me and a coach. And then the next year I fought. So spending a whole semester there was just super eye-opening. I was just surrounded by professional athletes all day.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever felt that kind of motivation. So, and I was not a very motivated teenager. I'll give you that. So.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Actually, one of the reasons why I brought Mark on the podcast was just to give some shine to the fact that we've got world-class athletes that train out of London, Ontario, and I don't think people realize from a global perspective. I don't know if he ever officially said this or not, but I know Alpha Male wanted to bring him down to California at one point in time. Yeah. The level of skill in that gym and the athletes that are in that gym it's fascinating. The reason I asked the questions about the art and then the fighting is in both of those practices, there's an inherent thing around discipline that you have to adhere to, but at the same time, getting an environment where you can grow.
Yeah.
Right? So I think of the environment that you had with your dad where he was playing music. You were obviously a child watching your father and trying to keep up with him. Then you get around those guys at the gym. And in both of those things, you found some inspiration and a path for something that allowed you to be creative. And art and fighting, both very, very creative pursuits. As you grew in both, what were the core things that allowed you to break through or find some direction when you said to yourself, you were somebody that didn't like being told what to do and you weren't that motivated. Like you found motivation through music and through fighting. What are some of the lessons that you learned that allowed you to go down that path?
Well, I know you're a big advocate of this is just finding the right mentorship, right? At the end of the day, I think with music that wasn't as clear to me. My dad's mentorship only really went so far because he never pursued music. You know, it was just kind of.
What did he do?
My dad's a retired firefighter.
Oh,
and he.
So he just saved lives. No big deal.
He just saved lives. Yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. But music was just a hobby and stuff, and it's always been more of a passion for me. But with fighting, the mentorship was incredibly clear.
Yeah.
I had basically 7 older brothers that all fought professionally at the highest level for years and years and years, and that really they really took me under their wing. Like I can honestly pinpoint a lot of my confidence towards the guys at Adrenaline, honestly.
Yeah.
And they got me right at the right time, right? Like I was,
how old were you?
15, 16 with low self-esteem and, some body weight issues. And, and Sam just treated me like he always knew me, right? And then just taught me everything that I know. And
you got to earn it with those guys too. Like I know them from the standpoint that a lot of people come in and out of the gym, right? On a frequent basis. Very few stick around for a long, long time. How did you earn the mentorship, do you think? Like what allowed you the access and that relationship?
I think just showing up every day and showing up with a good attitude, asking questions. I think I was always I never thought of myself as a good student because I didn't do very well in school. I hated school. But really at the end of the day, I only didn't do well in the classes that I didn't enjoy. So it was one of those things that if I had a really good teacher that I thought highly of, suddenly my grade was really good, right? So, and my parents always said that to me, and I didn't really listen, but but like obviously I had the capacity to be a good student, and MMA and kickboxing I fell in love with so fast that I didn't really see that I was becoming such a good student, but I was, and it took me a while to give myself credit for that. But I think, they are hard customers. I remember very vividly the first compliment I ever got from Mark Hominick. And I think some people can say that too, and he's the best guy ever. But you have to earn it with him. And just showing up every day and showing that I'm not just going to quit on them, I think is a big thing for them because they are all about loyalty there. And I really resonate with that, and I'm not going anywhere. And I think just the fact that they, saw that I was just so passionate about it that they trusted me, and show up with a good attitude. And then suddenly they were starting to give me clients that they couldn't, they didn't have time for in their schedule.
Sure.
And I started getting my own clients with them, and they started getting me to teach classes, and it was all just them. I didn't ask, it was them giving it to me. So, and I think it was, just you got to put the time in with people, really.
It's interesting because I can make a direct parallel to our business where on the real estate side, we're a team. I actually use MMA as a direct parallel for my agents when we have our team meetings. Like I talk about city kickboxing, I talk about adrenaline, I talk about that they're on the mats training together. And I'm like, if you're not training at your craft 2 hours a week, you can't really say you do that thing. And I don't care if you're a martial artist, I don't care if you're a real estate agent, a carpenter, or a musician. It's the war of art. It's the showing up where the muse shows up and then you find these glimmers of I'm actually decent at this thing. Yeah. But it comes from just putting your head down, putting in the reps and the hours. And then when you find those breakthroughs, you find further inspiration. But you said something. You said that struggled with some body weight issues and you weren't somebody who's a natural talent. That's me all day long. I'm not the smartest, not the fastest, not the strongest, but I'll show up more than anybody else. Yeah. Where did you find that switch where you were able to start showing up with somebody who wasn't maybe inherently disciplined?
I think I just saw how much good it was doing for me in all other aspects of my life. I think once I was training with Sam multiple times a week and sparring and getting a lot of teenage testosterone and angst out.
It's healthy for
which
boys.
is
for sure.
It's super healthy.
Yeah.
I just realized I'm struggling less to talk to people I don't know. I'm walking into a party not scared,
Scared,
stuff
yeah.
like, and it was just stuff like that where I was always good at that stuff, but internally it was still happening.
Yeah.
And it was happening less and less. And I think that's like all the motivation I need, really. I think just realizing how passionate I am about something, it didn't feel like I needed to be motivated. Like it was just, this is what I want to do every day. Like this is just who I am now. This is me, right? Now that has changed a little bit as I've gotten older, and for a period it kind of started to feel like work. And
What's your age now?
23.
23. Okay.
So I say older loosely, but
But 16 to 23 is a period of time, right?
yeah, that's a pretty fundamental, I think, period of time in somebody's life. Like you learn a lot about yourself at that time, and I'm still am. And now I'm kind of focused more on, okay, I need to focus on the business end of things. I was losing money every time I fought on a weekend, right? Like that's when I'm playing music. That's my gigs, and I'm an amateur fighter. I wasn't making, even at a low level pro. You're really, even a high level pro, you're not really making that much money for a long time. So I was really losing money every fight basically, and it just became kind of one of those things where I'm like, okay, I got to look out for my future. And I still love it. I'm in the gym every day. I still love it, but I need to focus on, okay, bettering my future and becoming a good business person, because I was trying to run 2 businesses at the same time, still am, without any guidance, and really, like, I still don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out day by day, right? So, and I need to put sole focus on that sometimes.
Yeah, I think having structure, right? So like as you're speaking, going back to where you found drive, a lot of times it's from mentors. It's other people showing you the path. I can tell you like a future for somebody like yourself that has knowledge of a skill, because you think of where's the intersection of what you're good at with what people will pay you for and what you love. If you can find that circle, the future is, you look at a platform like YouTube, somebody like yourself, Hominic Stout, anybody could easily turn that into a longevity business from the standpoint of, yes, you have your clients, you have your daily routine, and you're selective about the people you work with because there's only so much time. But teaching people to do what you do at scale with technology is something we've never seen before till like an age like today, where you took something and you're like, okay, the economics of fighting at your age and level and where you're at now too, and music, having to make a decision at the age that you're at, I'll give you a lot of credit to say, you know what, I'm going to go all in on music. I'm not going to give up this thing that I have a passion for and I'm good at, but you can select where you're deploying that energy.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
And it sounds like that's the path you're going down. So knowing that you want to put path into, or your energy into, say, music, and getting more zeroed in on that, is that you getting more gigs, practicing the craft more, finding mentorship? Like, what are you doing in that space right now?
It's everything. Obviously right now we're kind of leading into summer, and it's going to get busier naturally, playing on the patios and stuff. But what I'm focused on really heavily right now is the organization of everything, financially and just scheduling, which has never come easy to me. And which, if it feels, the thing is about this, which makes it hard, is sometimes it feels like very polar opposites in my head, where I'm thinking about that stuff all the time, but I'm also thinking about my songwriting and
the art
of it. 100%. And I'm in the studio right now working on an EP. I have 2 singles out, and they've done okay, and I'm trying to get more of a chunk out at a time. So I was thinking an EP would be a good idea for that, and I just really want to share my music. It's one of those things I spend multiple hours a week, every week, playing at a bar and playing other people's music, and it's really just it's a breath of fresh air when I can share my music with people. So I'm focused on. It feels like I'm focused on a lot of stuff right now, and that's where I'm kind of like, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what should take priority in my, just mentally, like not necessarily time all the time, but like what should I be thinking about the most? So,
and everything's art and math, right? Even what we do, I tell people, I'll walk into their house and I'll say, like, there's the math part where I can pull the comps and tell you the range of values that people are willing to pay. Mm-hmm. But there's the art where, do you know where the market's going with this product? And what will somebody pay for a 50-acre hobby farm that you could turn into a $5 million business? Because the comps may say this price, but the opportunity cost is here, and it's somewhere in between. I think personally, one way that you could do that is by front loading your schedule and making your brain switch on and off those different modes. So like Monday, for example, you could sit down and, like, after you've had a weekend of everything, that's your business day. And you sit down and you're like, okay, I'm going over the financials. what the next quarter looks like, the gigs that I have, all the planning and production and stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing nothing but actually sitting in the music. I could care less what happens if I miss phone calls, whatever. Another thing I'd challenge you on too, and I don't know if you do this, what is your thought on social media, streaming, and that side of things?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm trying to be better at it. I think it's obviously an amazing tool. I think I have gotten really lucky with my social media presence is okay, you know, in terms of I'm just an internet kid.
Yeah.
And
You get it.
I just kind of inherently get it. And it's getting better. I live with a guy who builds websites and does graphic design. And he helps me out a lot with that stuff too. So, and I have a lot of help. I just have a lot of help in that department if I need it. I think I'm getting better at asking and then also using that help, which I'm never been that great with. So, I mean, it's like for my business, everything I get, like all the business I get is networking. So anytime I get hired for a private party for music, it's always because so-and-so told me about you, right? It's always from bars. It's always, if people are reaching out to me, it's always because, I know this manager at this bar and they told me to hire you. It's always that. Yeah. And same with personal training clients. It's, my buddy trained with you last year. Like he was wanting to get into it, or like almost all my clients right now stem from other clients.
Well, I hired you for Springfield because I knew you from the gym.
Yeah.
And I was just I didn't even go that deep into like qualifying if you were the right fit. I didn't care. I just wanted to support somebody that was in the ecosystem.
And that's the network, right? Yeah.
And the reason I ask about the streaming is like I could see a world where every gig that you do, you literally just set up your iPhone and you stream on, say, a TikTok, a YouTube, or an Instagram, and just have it running. The concern that people have, even with like podcasts and shows, is they think they need to fill dead space, right? So they think that every second there has to be something. So if you're like in between sets, or you're getting water, or whatever, that like, oh my gosh, like I need to say or do something to the camera. Once you get used to the fact that it's just streaming and there's lots of chunks where nothing's happening, I could literally see a world where like people like ourselves are working on something in the office and in the background, or I'm working at nighttime on Friday, working on a deal, and you're playing music at Cool's. What up, Nolan? I see him in the other room.
Every Sunday, guys.
Yeah, so if it's on Sunday, you're streaming the music into your own home, so I can't get into Cool's, or I can't be there for whatever reason, but I feel like I'm there. I genuinely think that those platforms then will go and find your audience. Yeah. Because now it's the TikTokification of social media where it's not who you're following, it's what you're interested in. And the more people that are interested in music, I genuinely think that, say you time block your calendar, your Mondays might be business, Tuesdays might be writing music. Yeah. If you're like, I'm going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe you don't stream 3, but maybe you say, hey guys, like just so you know, I'll be here and I'll be streaming. I wouldn't be shocked if you start seeing people locally engaged that are followers that can't be there and friends of yours that want to hang with you. Yeah. But more than that, the algorithm will know that's the avatar of the person who likes this type of music and go find many more of those people so 100%. That when you drop your album or your EP, my brain's getting a little crazy. I'm even thinking.
No, but I get it. Yeah.
The songwriting process, like behind closed doors, I don't know what that looks like in terms of like sharing a song you haven't released yet, but people love watching the journey. People are getting famous from that right now. Yeah. Noel Kahn, Zach Bryan. That's literally how they got famous. That's literally why they're in stadiums now, is because they posted on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram of them just with a phone, like not good quality hashing
stuff.
It out, right?
And
like,
just hey, I wrote this the other day. Let's see if you guys like it. Like, yeah, I know it's like. You're right, and that's what I was saying. Like I'm trying to balance it. I'm just trying to figure out right now. Okay, what to do first? Yeah. And that's where I struggle with. Like I said, right now my brain's going a million miles a minute, and it's great. Like I'm busy. It's awesome. Like business is going well. So but you're right. And I've talked to again my roommate Adam Gorley, photography by the way. I should give him a little shout out. Yeah, for sure. He's said the exact same thing. He's like, why aren't you just streaming? Why aren't you just like putting TikTok live up on while you're playing music? And I should. It's
because awesome. You have the phone in your device, right? You just literally set it up on a locked off tripod. Doesn't have to do anything. It just stands next to you. I think there's something there, but I'll make a parallel. Yeah. Because I want to bring this to a place where the people listening and watching that are real estate agents, entrepreneurs, they get stuck in the same thing, right? Yeah. Like a real estate agent, for example, will think, I got to do mailers. I got to do open houses. I need to do events. I need to do YouTube. I need to do neighborhood tours. Like, there's just so many things. Yeah. When in reality, if I boil it down, there's only 3 things. I got to prospect, I got to I got to learn every day.
Yeah.
So I need to know the market, maybe watch a course on whatever I'm trying to get good at, say time management. That's what I was doing this morning. Then I got to prospect, which means I got to open my CRM tool and make sure I'm talking to all the people that said they want to buy stuff with me. Amazing. That's done. And then I got to market myself. So like once a day, I got to put out a piece of content, which I do consistently about.
Yeah, you're the best of that.
But it's a habit built over time.
Yeah.
So make a parallel to fighting. When you were fighting,
Yeah.
when you went to the gym for the first time and you got that locked up fear of like, they're going to break my nose. Everything's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to throw a punch. Think of that same feeling that you had.
Yeah.
And how you boil it down, and the mentors were able to say, well, here's the 2 or 3 things that you only really need to focus on, and then we can do the flying armbar later.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same
100%.
thing that you're dealing with the music, right?
Absolutely. You got to get the fundamentals down, and 100%. I get that. Yeah. It's a big journey, right? Like I find I have to find mentorship in different areas sometimes, and sometimes it's not where you think it will be. And,
Sure.
But I've gotten a lot better. I'll give myself credit. I've gotten a lot better at listening to those mentors. I think I'm just not somebody that seeks help very often. I want to do everything independently. I think that's not a very uncommon thing. I think a lot of people just want to do everything themselves. But this is, I don't have any knowledge of anything I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing it, right? Like I know how to play music and I know how to train people. But other than that,
I'm playing music and training people. I got to pay my bills. How do I figure that out at the same time?
Right? So, and I want to be, this is the thing I think where my brain has shifted in the past little while is, okay, that's not just enough though for me. I don't want to just be okay at this stuff. I want to be really good at it. I want to have my stuff together. I want people to continuously send people to me. I don't want it to be like this is going to fade out if I don't up it at all, I'll be
honest
yourself to a
with
higher
you.
standard, right?
I'll be honest with you, and sorry to cut you off,
sure.
but there's actually only so much of your time too. Like you can only travel so many places, do so many gigs, and train so many people.
Yeah.
So how do you share that knowledge at scale? Well, the answer is very simple: video.
Yeah.
Right, and you have the ability to do that at scale. Let me ask you this, because when I searched for mentors, some of my actual mentors now are people that had no idea who I was when they were my mentors. I was watching their content, reverse engineering their success story. So a guy like Zach Bryan, what were the 2 or 3 things that he did that made him famous or like made him able to achieve the success that he did?
He wrote a lot of songs and he posted them all. That's
So
kind of
he wrote songs and he posted them.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 of maybe the 3 things that you need to do.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked into online like forensic breakdowns of his career?
No, that's a really good idea, though.
Go on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I did that. So Scott McGilvery I met just by proximity because they needed somebody in London, and I just went to his event, and he became a mentor after like 6 years of him probably not knowing who I was and just being around the ecosystem, similar to the gym story.
Yeah.
Sirhan was kind of the same way, but I remember doing the same thing with Sirhan in terms of doing a forensic analysis of like, dude got licensed during the worst economic crash in New York City. He knew nobody in the city. He came from Colorado and he was broke.
Yeah.
And literally it was just 2 or 3 basic things that he did. And what I find is amazing about YouTube and like these types of platforms is you can reverse engineer people's stories and see things that aren't as complicated as you may think they were on like a Zach Bryan, and obviously he's a unicorn, but take those things and create your own vision of the future with it, right? And I think that would be a huge unlock for you.
It's a great idea. Yeah, that is a great idea, just to like actually break it down how it happened, and not just in a vague way, like a very specific way. It's crazy, man. And I mean, the internet's just so like, obviously I'm not saying anything new. Like the internet's just insanely powerful. You're doing it every day. It's awesome. I'm trying to get better at that. My girlfriend posted this kind of like, clickbait TikTok where she pretended like it was like our first date, and I was playing music for her for our first date kind of thing. And it went crazy. It got like 10 million views on TikTok or something like that. Home to learn as time goes by that I should trust what's deep inside. That's wild. And it's really short, but it got like a crazy amount of views. And I wasn't even tagged in it because she wanted to make it like seem more authentic, right? Like it was like we want actually people to think that it's our first date. We're already dating, but people found me. People found my Spotify.
That's
I went
wild.
from 4,000 streams on my one song Pieces. On Spotify, it was like 4,000 streams that had been out for 3 years, and it's at 4,000 streams. In like 3 months after that video, it was like 90,000
Wow.
streams. So, like, she actually made me money off the, she actually made me money. Still got to take her out to dinner or something.
I was gonna say, we'll pay for the ring eventually, or who knows?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But-
exactly. But yeah, no. So it's just crazy how it works.
Yeah.
If something hits, it hits hard, and it can completely change stuff for you. I know it didn't really go completely it's not like it changed my life necessarily, but I was getting messages from guys who work at like studios and record labels and stuff, again, they found me through the comments and just like crazy stuff. And that's the power of the internet, I guess, and I gotta try at least to capture some of the magic again.
It's interesting because I think also we've gone through the creator economy. There's a book by Roberto Blake, phenomenal guy, called Create Something Awesome. And he talks about how the creator economy is that next wave. So we went through, say, the Industrial Revolution. Our parents would get a job and maybe become a firefighter because you want stability, you want great pension and coverage for your family. Then you go through an age where you go through education, so you could skip over middle management to get that executive position.
Yeah.
And now we're in a weird space where that's not working as much anymore because those positions don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And you talk about record labels. I hear that, and I hear instantly my brain goes off with alarm bells saying, don't sign with anybody, don't do anything because you don't really need them. You can go straight to consumer nowadays.
Yeah.
But if they're reaching out, there's a reason for that. And then I go back to the Ryan Serhant story, and I'm like, okay, you got the TV show. He got $1 million listing, but so did 35 other nobodies that nobody knows today. What's the difference with Ryan?
Yeah.
Is he took that, didn't think, oh, now I've made it and this is going to change my life. But he took that as a marker of, okay, do more of that and continue doing it. And that's what achieves success, right? So it's going back to the art of fighting, the art of music, the art of real estate. 90% of the battle is just showing up in the gym, prepared, paying attention, and doing what your coach tells you.
100%.
Consistently over time, and then you will have these breakthrough moments where you're like, oh, I can actually fight.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I can actually find success online. I'm going back to the streaming thing in my head. Combined with that, say you stream consistently, what ends up happening is 1,000 people that found that stream out of the 10 million become super fans, and then they tell the other 1,000 super fans, and they tell the other 1,000 super
100%.
fans, right? And it's
100%.
stuff like this. It can change your life from the standpoint that you can do what you actually love and get paid to do it in a way that you never could have gotten paid before, right? Which
100%.
I think that's the path you're going down 100%.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to be real comfortable and doing something that you love. And I think I always, I hate saying this, but I view myself as an artist first and foremost. But now I'm trying to look at it, as not more over the artistry, but like I gotta see myself as an entrepreneur as well, because I am my own boss. I'm running a business now. And I think I'm taking that more seriously. And it's been a few years of doing this without really taking that seriously, just kind of going with the flow of things and being happy that I was just
in the ecosystem,
just doing it, And now it's like, okay, but we can do more. I can hold myself to a higher standard. And you just even doing stuff like this, getting out and talking to people and showing my face at more things, and and I really do love doing that too. So it's the network that you can get from just going around and talking to people is insane. Like it's the best.
So, for people listening and watching, to break the fourth wall, if you listen to the Prime Mastermind series that we did, it was AJ Marini, Darren Voros, Azra, and Ryan McLean, all episodes that we played here. In the background, there was music playing. That was actually Ryan that was at that event. And I think that you see, like, you go to an event like that, there's going to be people there that have an affinity for music. AJ actually trains at Adrenaline. He used to have for a long time. And you see these overlaps between ecosystems. And I think I just want people to do what they actually like doing with people they like doing it with. And I think I've told Mark this so many times too. I'm like, you guys run the facility, do what you do, train every day, but figure out a way to share that with the world, because one day we're all going to be dead and gone. And I'd love for that knowledge that they have in terms of like how much being part of a martial arts gym can change your life, and how it's like it saved my life back when I started training at Hard Knocks. That was one of the reasons I went. I wasn't going to be a professional fighter, but it gave me the discipline and a community of people that like drove me to be better.
Me too.
knowing how to actually take care of yourself. The world's a pretty dangerous place, and it's shocking once you learn to do even jujitsu, kickboxing, any type of martial art, how vulnerable you see other people are out in the community, especially you've bounced, and I've spent my time at Jim Bob's as a bouncer. And I'm like, oh, nobody knew how to fight. Like
No one.
most of the time people were fighting. They should not have been fighting.
100%.
So, I mean, there's that self-awareness and then discipline from a kid's perspective.
Yeah.
Not to mention the technical aspect, because like they could do it, you could do it, Sam could do it, Chris could do it. They could all do it independently. And what's interesting is, say they all had YouTube channels that showed people mensonomics or like Mark's thoughts on striking and movement, or Sam's thoughts, right? Like all of these different people. What's interesting today is if they all ran different online academies or had different YouTube channels, they would all be insanely different, but they would actually help each other because those communities would find each other through each other. And before it was like, well, I don't want you to steal the gig from me. And like, it was a very scarcity mentality where with the internet, I find it's like the podcasting circuit. You actually help each other the more you expose different people to different things, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's always something that I've really not related to. Like I don't see the competition side of stuff like this. Like I don't know. I've become a lot better friends with some other local musicians, and Greg Sykes, Jeremy Fox, and Dave Elseman. We all share gigs, you know.
Yeah. If one
four
guy's
of us,
away, the other one will pop in and whatever too,
the
right?
four of us literally cycle between Banquet and McCabe's
That's awesome.
every week. So that
awesome.
Greg kind of managed that, and we just do that, and it's super easy, and there's no competitiveness. If I need somebody to cover a gig, I have a list of people to go down, and it's awesome. And
They
I know
probably
that I'm
drive
on the
you
list
too, right? Because they do something cool, and then you want to do something cool. Like
100%. We just did a show at London Brewing Co-op, and it was my first time playing my own songs with a band, and it was those guys, and and that's Greg, that's Sykes Music. He pushed me, and that's like, I mean, he's turned into a mentor of mine too, and
that's awesome.
And he's just been doing it longer, and he actually cares. He wants to help me, and he just pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it was like the best. It was just so much fun. We like packed the place. It was a blast, and just doing more stuff like that where it's a little out of my comfort zone, stuff I wouldn't have really put a lot of time and effort into if it was just me doing it.
Sure.
But because there's a group of us doing it all together, it's just super motivating.
Not as scary too, right? It's just easier. Like
it's just easy. It was fun.
First class I ever went to was with Chad Stewart. Actually, I want to think back in the day. Yeah, and it was actually Shannon Ludlow was the striking coach back at Hard Knocks. Yeah, and it would have been scary if you just go there by yourself. But the second you find that one person that you can roll with, and then it's not as scary, right? And then you shepherd other people. I'm sure the same thing. Like you saw people come into the gym that were green. That were you back in the day, and you're like, I've been there. Don't freak out. You're not going to die. Like, we'll take care of you, right? Yeah. Same thing in music, YouTube, creator economy. Just think of yourself in terms of belts. So, like, in terms of understanding the creator economy, and maybe like a 2-stripe blue belt. Yeah. I have access to black belts. I know some things that I'm like, oh, if I keep going, eventually every black belt's just a white belt that never stopped showing up, 100%. Right? So
100%. Man.
So if I come back in a year, we shoot another one of these podcasts, where are you in your career? Well, what type of stuff are you doing?
I am hoping to be pumping out music, my own music. I think that's the big goal, is just having more music out.
Are we live streaming and watching your gigs too?
And and I think there's a lot of content for you to consume, I think too.
Okay.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I think with the fighting and the music, I just want to entertain. Yeah. And I've always been, like just an attention whore, and I just want to be the center of attention. And but I want to entertain people. So giving people, I think in a year, hopefully, and what I'm working towards is just having as much entertainment out as humanly possible, and just consumable stuff that you guys can all watch and listen to.
And I think you want to keep the joy that you have doing those things, and not sell out just because. It's something I always struggled with say the podcast and the content that I put out is, most people in my position, they turn around and they just go hardcore recruiting, or like there's an angle and they're selling. You feel like you're listening to it and you're like, all right, when's the other foot going to drop? And I've always thought, I just want to talk to interesting people. Yeah. We'll obviously try and translate the lessons so I can speak to an agent that is struggling with discipline and understanding all those aspects. But at the same time, there's a purity to you want to enjoy what you're doing that you don't want to lose.
Just remember why you started, right? Like,
yeah.
You gotta love this stuff. It's really hard to be disciplined in something that you hate. So, you might hate aspects of it, but as a whole, like, find the love, find the passion, and remember where it all came from, right? Yeah.
Well, if you're looking to get in a fight or train or just be healthier, he does that. But obviously, if you're looking to book a musician, contact Brendan. His info is going to be below. If there's one takeaway from this episode that you got, drop it in the comments as well. Share this episode with somebody that you think maybe needs a little bit more discipline or appreciates music and art. And let's hold Brendan accountable. Now that he said it, he's going to be live streaming every week at all his gigs. Just kidding. I don't know if he's actually going to start doing that. But follow him and check out his music, and we'll check back in a year and kind of see where you're at.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah,
appreciate
for sure.
it.